So, Ross, let's talk about pacing for a second, because especially when it comes to advocacy, folks can get tired and can run themselves pretty ragged working for that holy change that is often too slow in coming. So, as someone who's been in this work for a bit now, what are some good practices that you have noticed or you have implemented yourself to keep the ever looming burnout at bay?
Mhm. This, I think, is one instance where intergenerational work ends up being incredibly important. And
Mm.
when I when I started doing the naming project, I was like mid to late 20s. There was a bit of a gap there, maybe 10 years. Now that I'm a 46-year-old, still working with youth, there's definitely that like generational gap. And I know that like their world and their life is very different than mine. But when it comes to advocacy, and again, that like passion and directiveness that I see coming from youth today. I absolutely want them to use and harness it. And I want to make sure that they have that longevity. And so constantly talking about the 30-year view, the what is the next best possible thing, the we're going to end up compromising on this now, but it doesn't mean we let it go and we continue pushing, right? And doing some of that work so that people sort of understand the ways in which the world is broken and sinful is myriad, and it's going to take a million little fixes to fix it. There's never like one big one. And the older I get, the easier I think that is to communicate, because it is a look, I've been doing this for a long time, and here's where I feel like I've had success, and here's where I feel like I'm still plodding away. And I want you to keep doing this time and energy, and I want you to keep putting this time and energy and attention into it, while knowing that most of our problems can't get fixed in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, one election cycle. And so having to help them think through, you know, what's the worldview that we want to see, right? Can you envision the world if sin and sorrow were no more and we beat our swords into plowshares? And always have that vision front and center, and then constantly think about what are the little steps and milestones and things that we need to do to be able to get to this vision. And each one of these little steps should be celebrated as a victory and as a milestone, while also communicating that never fixes the bigger overall thing, right? There's always going to be more work to do. And that's tiring because people want to like have an end date on this too. But we kind of seen things morph and change and grow. And even though we solve one problem, others will pop up, right? Or things that were buried underground, or like problems that we did not spend time thinking about, especially those of us with privilege. Sometimes
Yeah,
don't think about the problems that exist even when we've solved one particular thing.
yeah.
That always get that long view gets some really important. And I think that kind of communication, that sort of mindset, can actually be more helpful than take a weekend for self-care. Make it, there is like, you do need to check out, you do need to recharge, you have to think about this long term. But you're doing all that so that you can go back into the world and re-engage.
Mm.
And back to plug the naming project, but our camp is physically held on an island in a lake in central Minnesota. So we are physically removed from the rest of the world, which is kind of cool and sort of apt to sort of think of separation from the rest of the world. It is
Yeah.
an oasis. It is a space where youth can let their hair down. They can explore and ask questions that are hard to ask in front of other people. Questions about who am I? Great. If someone says, I am pansexual, or I am non-binary, or this is the name I want to be called, doing that in your real life to family and friends is like monumental. And what if like later you're like, ooh, that wasn't quite right, right? Undoing
Mm.
that's really complicated. You're with us just for a week, right? You can try a new name, you can try a new pronoun, you can try a new, like, is this label the right one for me? And
Mm.
we'll use it and call you what you want to be called. And then at the
Mm.
end of the week, you might be like, maybe that's not the right fit. And
Mm.
you go home and you have no consequences from that. That
Yeah.
set apart time can be really important, but we always end it with, just like Jesus and the disciples on the mountaintop, we don't stay here forever. We have to go back out into the world, and we're going to have to engage in that world. And the level and the way in which you're going to do that's going to be different for every person. But this set apart time is a way that's supposed to have you feel secure and comfortable enough in who you are and who God made you to be, so that you can go out and engage in a world that maybe doesn't see or know or understand you in the same way that God does, or the
Yeah.
way you understand yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.